the present acting CEO said the ban is still in force. But then animal rights activists say the ban is being enforced poorly, which I also agree with them. Then the Ghana Society for the Protection of Animals are fighting for the enactment of a law to criminalize the donkey trade, insisting that the ban was based on an MOU. Now the MOU is not a law, and is therefore not enforceable. And then the MOU only restricts, does not ban skin trade. Veterinary officers do not have the power to arrest or prosecute. And the other cases in Ghana, crimes concerning cruelty against or neglect of animals are prosecuted under the Criminal Code of 1960, which is quite old and archaic. So experts say the law is long overdue for reform because it has no specific clause to curtail or prevent the donkey hide spray. Veterinary officers can only seize the meat or hide, but they do not have to let the donkey trade offenders go because there is no law to actually prosecute them. This is the present state of the Blue Ghost abattoir in Savannah. Abandoned, a lot of their vessels actually rusted. This picture was taken on Friday, last Friday before I came here. And constantly, anytime I'm on the road, I try to look at the place to see whether they are actually working or not as a regional. And as a beneficiary of the donkey, this is my mother. I built the first house in my house. So certainly, it gives a lot of livelihood to the rural vulnerable, more especially the women and so on and so forth. And this is the donkey. The best way to manage it, this is how we have in the house. If it's outside and it's raining, the donkey walks back into the pen and build a special pen. This is proper management of the donkey. He said that it is not practically neglected. What is the way forward? Policy, which something I would suggest that we all look at it at the end of this workshop. Identification of key stakeholders in the donkey movement and slaughter industry is very, very key. The key holders, probably we can identify more, but I think veterinary police and the custom who are at the barriers, and the police who are also at the checkpoints. The district assemblies from the local government, key stakeholders, animal welfare activists, organization like who is also here, the butchers and the donkey dealers association, key stakeholders. Probably at the end we should be able to identify more if possible, and then map out their roles and responsibilities in reducing the donkey slaughter movement. Very, very important. And advocate for a strong political will. That is what we are actually lacking. To the extent that a minister could say the donkey has outlived its usefulness, and Motor King has overtaken their usefulness, so there's no need. Lack of political will is a key factor. So we should also advocate for that to enforce the ban adequately and prosecutable, so that anyone who practically commits offense, the business should be able to prosecute that. Strengthen the capacity of the vets in the donkey population areas on major areas of donkey and force it to strengthen the surveillance system. If the surveillance system is strengthened, certainly they should certainly be able to quickly identify and respond to any disease outbreak. Mass intermittent radio talks in several dialects on the risk of extinction of the donkey species in the northern regions. It's also important in the individual dialects where the donkeys are, so that everybody will certainly be aware, yet not necessarily call it a area. Effective monitoring of donkey slaughter at centralized slaughter slab.
GAPNet, in partnership with Brook, call on the state government on the donkey trade to other countries, which is going to strengthen the population of donkeys in West Africa. According to the Regional Director of Vet Service in Northern Region, Dr. Evans Hunso Hayado, at the Developing a National Advocacy Action Plan for Preservation and the Welfare of Donkey Species workshop, stated there is need for all stakeholders, security agencies, and veterinary services and local government assemblies to come together to look at the way forward to ban the export of donkey meat in order to leave donkey population in a normal rate.
Basically to China and to some other countries. Is basically threatening the donkey population in Africa, more specifically to West Africa. And the Ghana situation is not different from what is actually happening in other countries. They are actually using it in China to produce certain drugs for the treatment of age ailments, which so the demand is quite high. and our population, our people are now slaughtering donkeys in commercial quantities, basically for export, for that product to be produced there. And if care is not taken, certainly the donkey population here will certainly reduce to the extent of being to the extent of extinction. Practically, it's now more or less like an endangered species within our society. Though some of our people slaughter donkey to consume, but the demand at that level is quite low. So there is a need for all the stakeholders, mainly the security agency, the veterinary services, and the local government, talking of assemblies, as well as that of the Butchers Association, to come together and look at the way forward so that we can stop, ban the slaughter and exportation, not only the height but that of the donkey meat as well, so that our donkey population will certainly remain at the normal rate that has been done in the past. Now, what happens is the donkey growth is very, very difficult for you to breed. And apart from that, the donkey height is also hindering the growth of the donkey population in the system. And the disease surveillance of equine diseases is also very, very important, so that we're able to detect the horse disease, the donkey diseases or the equine disease as early as possible and respond to reduce that of the mortality, like what we experienced between January to that of March 2019, what actually happened in the northern sector of Ghana together with certain parts of Burkina Faso. So this is a call, this is an appeal to all those who know the usefulness of donkey, basically to the livelihood of the vulnerable, the women in our communities and so on and so forth. It is still key in the area of areas where tractors cannot plow, rocky areas, it is the donkeys that are actually doing the job. Areas where loaders don't have access to, it is the donkey carts that are being used for transportation, even in some cases as ambulance and so on and so forth. So there's the need for us to actually preserve the genes of this species within our country. Well, at a policy level, there's the need for us to have a very strong political will to enforce this. Political will in the sense that at a policy level, it is the ministers or probably the MPs, the Agri Select Committee and so on and so forth, that their voice are being heard. So that if they also add their voice to this call for the ban of the slaughtering of donkeys at a commercial quantity, I think it will certainly make an impact in the preservation of this endangered species in our country.
Also speaking at the event was the Chief Research Scientist and former CSIR, Savannah Agriculture Institute Dr. Kanton, said that the donkey is equally important as part of the developmental agenda of the country, which we need not to wipe out their population. Therefore, he appealed to the Ministry of Agriculture and the Parliament to carry out the legislation approval on the indisciplined slaughter of
dowries or whatever. And sometimes, like they said, the meat have some fiber. At least that is healthy. Fibrous food is not the issue. We are not saying people should killing the donkey, but this of a cotton farm produce to the market, to the house, fetching water, fuel, and other things. And they don't need spare parts. You just said, a lady mentioned that they cut, a woman was carried from Wali Wali to Naleriku Medical Center, not by your national ambulance, which a lot of people can't afford. They charge you cannot afford. They are not accessible to the rural people. But the donkey does that job. Yes. You saw even the global figures. They are in the presentation he gave. From China to Kenya to it's there. So if that trend continues, they'll wipe out the donkey population not only of Ghana but the whole of the world. But we are talking about our country for now. So that we can stem that so that nobody will go into making the donkey population extinct. Because the pace just for by greedy, selfish individuals to get foreign exchange through donkey, which is peanuts, and they go and sell it into millions of, they'll kill the, they'll just wipe out the donkey. And they told the gestation period is over a year, and donkeys are not as fertile as the other animals. So even breeding may not help. As simple as that. The Republic of Ghana, His Excellency the Donkwa Akufo is the number one we are crying up to, because this is a national issue. And he has said we should stand up and be counted. We shouldn't be spectators, but we should be what? Actors. Okay? So that is why we are calling upon him. And of course, he has a chain of ministers that are responsible for this particular area, and that's the Minister for Agriculture, Food and Agriculture, Dr. Okoto Owusu-Afriyie, because the donkeys are working in his under his ministry more or less, because the output, that is plowing for people, carting farm produce to the house and to the market, and carrying fertilizer, seeds, water, and women and children to the farm to help, they are all going to support agriculture. So the planting for food and jobs will not have been successful without the participation of women, children, and the donkey. So we need the donkey to support us. And also the Agri and Environment Subcommittee on Parliament, we are appealing to them. They should help us and try to legislate so that the slaughtering, indiscriminate slaughtering of the donkey for the hide to be given to a foreign country to make money at the expense of the Ghanaian poor people. This money, even they are going, is peanuts compared to what they will stand to gain in China. So why should we do that? The population of donkey is already too small in Ghana. So if we don't take time, it will wipe out within weeks, because we have about 14,500 from the statistics that was shown, presented by the Director of Veterinary Services in Northern Region. It's so bleak. It's international, global. You've seen in China, Brazil, Kenya, and all the countries have been shown, and God will have the list. And we are now an epicenter after Nigeria. Nigeria is big, they have more donkeys than us. How about us? So we'll just finish our donkeys. We do not want that. So that will exacerbate the poverty gap already that exists, because the donkeys are helping to narrow that. So let us keep that and protect the donkey population in Ghana.